My name is Bryanna. I am a rising senior at Loyola School. My main project was the gesture-controlled robot. My second milestone was getting the DC motors and servos to run. The DC motors run by default, and the servos change their position depending on which flex sensors are pressed. So the servos have a small DC motor, a potentiometer, and a control circuit. They have 3 wires that have to be connected before it can operate: the ground wire, the power wire, and the signal wire. The signal wire is connected directly to the digital pins on the Arduino, in this case digital pins 5 and 6. The servo motors can rotate up to 180 degrees, and depending on which flex sensors are bent, they are programmed to rotate to a specific angle through wireless communication with the XPs. The DC motors contain an electrocoil, which acts as an electromagnet, and magnets with opposite poles. The purpose of the electromagnet is to switch the polarity as the current flows, which creates an electromagnetic field, which is what allows the motors to rotate. These again are also receiving signals from the XPs wirelessly, depending on which flex sensors are bent. The DC motors operate on a direct current, which is a constant current that only flows in one direction. Since I needed the DC motors to rotate both forwards and backwards, they had to be attached to the H-bridge, which allows voltage to be applied in both directions, which is what allows them to move both backwards and forwards. Some of the challenges I faced were checking all the connections for the servos and DC motors. The servos had to be set to the right power supplies and ground. The DC motors also required an external power source, so the positive and negative wires had to be connected to an external 12-volt battery. Another challenge I faced was the coding for the servos and DC motors themselves. In order for them to receive the XP wireless signals, depending on which flex sensors are bent, they had to be contained within a series of switch case statements. My next step is going to be putting the flex sensors on the glove and also building the actual structure for the robot itself.